Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm evidently not Thomas Lippert, I'm your host. And it's my pleasure to welcome you here at Schloss Rahe. I'm saying the first few words to you because we had the honor on behalf of the Consortium leader, the Forschungszentrum Jülich and the JAIF Consortium, to host and prepare this meeting. So I hope you've already enjoyed, those of you who are here with us in the room, you've enjoyed the lunch and the informal networking opportunities. I think I've seen many of you take full advantage of that. We also greet our online participants. Thomas Lippert will soon do that in a slightly more formal way as befits the consortium leader. But I'm very happy that we could organize this today. By way of explanation, this is an internal kickoff of JAIF. We will have another event sometime next year where we will celebrate the first few months, and also I'm quite sure we'll already be able to present some results, and that will be more of an external event with media and with many other friends. So for the time being, we're very happy to have with us in the room here members of the JAIF Consortium, but also, and I want to especially acknowledge that, of the two antennae that have recently been granted from Hungary and from Belgium. With this, it's my pleasure to give the floor to Thomas Lippert, who is not only one of the key architects behind the Jupiter machine, around which all of this is basically being constructed, but also speaks on behalf of the consortium leader. Thomas, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Holger. What is nice introduction. I know that for being able to be here at such a nice location, it's very well not the heavy rain in the future. It's on the one hand it's very nice. On the other hand, it is something that is testimony to the past, and we what and others can do. We want to do the same in the future with our facilities. So, as Holger already said, there is a lot of online people looking into our celebration today in our kickoff. Let us welcome them, and of course they are you all here from JAIF and more. Especially I would like to welcome Frau Bayer from the Ministerium für Kultur und Wissenschaft of North Rhine-Westphalia and Herr Nickel from the Hessische Ministerium für Wissenschaft und I think it's Kultur. I hope it's Kultur. Also here for being here and being with us. I also would like to welcome the representatives of the new antennas, the AI antennas. Maybe you have heard about that. It's an additional activity that was so to say inaugurated by the European EuroHPC, and we have representatives from Hungary and we have representatives from Belgium here. We also have friends of big organizations, companies like DeepL here, and welcome them. And of course, all of you as project partners. What would I start with? Why do we have JAIF? One thing is, we all want to go for research and for support of AI, both for the activities in SMEs and startups and industry, but also for science. That's one thing. Why can we do that? Because there is a machine that just has proven today to be a really big one and really good one, just can say so much. That's called Jupiter. And Jupiter is a machine that was conceived in dual manner. It's not just a machine for simulation as we had it traditionally, but also a machine for AI that can do very large AI training activities. And this JAIF will endow Jupiter with expertise, with competence in all these directions I already mentioned, support and research in AI. So JAIF will offer lots of very important services that will enable the users of large machines to really professionally and effectively use these machines. So that's exactly what JAIF should do, and in order to be complete, JAIF we also have a system called JAIF. So what's JAIF? JAIF is, so to say, the back end of JAIF. That's the machine that gives the services on a cloud-based approach. So it's an inference machine. And so Jarvis and Jupyter will be joining together to do the entire job, but they will also be closely connected, this modular system. So that's new land for us, for Germany. I don't think that a science organization in Germany ever had an inference system. And that's exactly where we think we have also a big additional value of JAIF, not only that there will be an exascale and a 40 or 50 exaflop AI engine behind it, like Jupyter, but also a machine that can do these services. So with our partners in JAIF, this is the Rheinisch-Westfälische Technische Hochschule, das KI Center, das Rheinisch-Westfälische Technische Hochschule. This is the Fraunhofer Gesellschaft, where we have FIT and where we have IAIS for Boardfit is in Aachen. And this is Hessen AI. I think we have an ideal mix of partners that can, if they work complementary and synergistically together, do things that we have never been able in Germany to do. Especially because we are also endowed and supported by many other organizations like the Lamar Institute, like this AI, or Hessen AI Service Center, and together with all the universities in the background. So there is also technologically and AI-wise already a lot of basis activities done. I only need to remind you of the Teuken system that has been conceived together in the past. And we will go for new and other big AI models very soon. You will hear of that. So with this and with, let's say, all these prospects that we have before us, I would like to conclude here and would like to thank you again for coming. And I would like to wish all of us at least 3 very pleasant and fruitful and successful years. Of course, also continuation. Let's together make the AI landscape the new one in Germany and Europe. This JAIF. Thank you so much. On the list.
Thank you, Thomas. So I have the honor and pleasure of leading the AI Center at RWTH Aachen, together with my colleague Sebastian Trimpe, who's also in the room, and with our executive director, Julia Mann, who has actually, with her team, played a very important role in preparing this meeting. So formally, I also want to greet you all. I'm delighted to see, finally, after many video conferences, so many of you in one room. That is truly outstanding. Connecting a little bit into what Thomas Lippert has already told you, it's also fantastic to see that beyond the core JAIF consortium, which started talking about an AI factory, Thomas, I would say about a year ago or something like that, a little bit longer. So we've been working pretty intensely with these partners, but it has since grown by others, mentioned by Thomas already, who have come on board, who have seen that this is a very exciting thing and who have pledged to be part of this. And that's truly wonderful. And it's particularly wonderful that now JAIF, which is, as of today, the largest AI factory in Europe, at least in terms of the machine and the competence assembled around this machine. There are other very impressive AI factories, but I think we can just say by the numbers, we are the largest currently. It's wonderful to see that that has also now become a truly European AI factory. By its location already in this particular corner of our republic, we are close to our neighbors in Belgium and in France. And culturally, we are also perhaps a little bit more sensitive and closer to our European neighbors than people might be elsewhere in the middle of Germany. I'm born in Frankfurt, so there wasn't this kind of an awareness how important it is to have
good neighbors and to work closely with them. Here, we do have that. Jülich, of course, has a long and proud tradition of working not only internationally, but specifically in a European way. So does RWTH, so do the Fraunhofer Institutes, and obviously so does Hessian AI, although they're a little bit closer to the center of the Republic. So this is fantastic. And the other thing that I wanted to remark upon is also something that Thomas already briefly mentioned, and that is there are many misunderstandings about what AI factories are supposed to be. Out there in the general public, people think an AI factory is a big hardware infrastructure, right? And yes, the hardware infrastructure, in this case Jupyter and Jarvis, are incredibly important. But that doesn't make an AI factory. And I think our AI factory, because it's constructed around something that has already in some sense been prepared outside of the AI factory, the Jupyter machine, makes this point in a particularly salient way, that the factory is much more than the machine. Just like any other factory is much more than the halls and the machinery inside. It's a way of running the machines. It's a way of leveraging these machines to doing useful things, in this case for science and society. And it's a way to bring together talented people who share a vision and enable them to pursue that vision vigorously. Just yesterday, I've had the pleasure to be at the meeting, the annual meeting of the German competence centers in AI, 6 competence centers, and they have been meeting in Saarbrücken, and there, at the center of the discussion was this question of technological sovereignty. And there we heard from the competence centers as well as from industry that this is the challenge of our time. And JAIF and the other European AI factories, they stand at the center of a large-scale effort to meet that challenge. Because we knew from the very beginning, thanks to the wonderful work that has been done in Jülich, particularly by Thomas and his team, that the JAIF factory would become operational much more quickly than many others that still need to build large-scale systems, and it would have indeed the largest scale system for a while to come. We thought it would be useful for us to offer to the community of AI factories across Europe to coordinate and to facilitate communication between these other AI factories, something that the European Union has not demanded of any AI factory to do, but we thought somebody should step forward and at least volunteer. We hope very much that the other AI factories, whom particularly Jülich has excellent connections, many of them, long-standing connections, I should say, will take us up on this offer, because I think together with them, we will be able to much better meet this important goal. Even JAIF, although it's a big machine with a lot of talent around it, with all of you deeply involved, is too small to really make huge progress towards that challenge. We need to do it together with the others. And I think here we are prepared to do it together with the others. We are keen on doing it together with the others. So therefore, this is an internal meeting where we get to know each other, the people who are directly connected to JAIF, the consortium members and the associated partners. But our hope, of course, is that in the future, over these 3 years that we're going to do this, and hopefully beyond, there will be bigger meetings that also include people from the other AI factories. And the fact that we have these antennas today, at least one of whom also is connected to another AI factory, is a very good start for this. So with all of this said, I'm very much looking forward, together with all the other consortium partners, Thomas has already said that, so I just want to second this, to be working together with all of you very closely towards these important goals, to make sure that, it's not just the big machine that's competently run. We have no questions about that. We wouldn't need JAIF for that, right? But that together we can demonstrate what such a machine with an ecosystem around it that we all are part of, what it can do, what it can deliver towards this big challenge of our time. So with this, a very warm welcome. And I will now give the floor to Mathis Bode, who will tell us a little bit more about the details of Jupyter and also JAIF. Mathis is the person on the ground. He's told me the other day He is so on the ground that he sees the 90-minute lines sometimes forming in front of the Jupiter machine. So it's a thing to look at. You don't have to line up there because you have the key to it essentially. You are a key person helping operate the thing. You were a key person helping to build it. So there is basically no better person than you to tell us more about it and what in JAIF we are going to do with it. Mathis Bode.
So thank you very much for Thomas and for Holger, I think, for this very nice opening for this event. I want to do one correction for what Holger said. I think there are also other great people at Jülich who could do as well talk about Jupiter as I could do, probably even better, but I am charged to do it for the next 20 minutes and give you an overview. So we quickly try to, I mean, you have already heard a lot of things from Thomas and Holger that were all correct about Jupiter and the AI factory and services. And we want to use the next 20 minutes to fill this a little bit with more information and practical information, how people can actually benefit from this. What is Jupiter? What are also AI factories? And what can people actually do this on a short term and also on a midterm time scale? So let's start with Jupiter. So one reason why we decided not to do a very big public event here for the JAIF kickoff is that we actually, in fact, had a super big event kickoff inauguration for Jupiter in September in Jülich. I'm not that long at Jülich, but what I have heard is it was the biggest party that we ever throw at Jülich. So it was, I think, the biggest what we ever did, and not just the biggest computer, but also the biggest party. So we are improving on multiple levels here. And you see here on this pictures, we had many important people invited in September to show them what we have accomplished in Jülich with Jupiter. And they all symbolically pressed the button back then in September to celebrate that we actually in Europe enter the exascale area. We made a very nice movie to celebrate this, and I would like to show this, and I hope this now works from a technical point of view.
Jupiter, entering a new dimension of computing. Jupiter at Forschungszentrum Jülich is Europe's first supercomputer to surpass 1 exaflops. That's 1 quintillion calculations per second, or the computing power of 1 million modern smartphones. To house this supercomputer of superlatives, a cutting-edge facility was built at the Jülich Supercomputing Center, the Modular Data Center. It was constructed in just 8 months, using 50 container modules. At Jupiter's core is the booster module from Eviden. Its incredible computing power comes from 24,000 Grace Hopper superchips by NVIDIA. Each one a mini supercomputer in itself, specially designed for scientific computing and AI. When training AI, Jupiter reaches over 40 exaflops, making it one of the most powerful AI supercomputers in the world. In practical terms, that's enough power to train a large foundation model with 100 billion parameters in just 1 week. Complementing the booster is the cluster module from Partec, the first system powered by processors developed in Europe. It's especially suited for complex data-intensive tasks. And Jupiter is more than a classic supercomputer. It's evolving into an AI platform through the Jupiter AI Factory. Its cloud infrastructure, Jarvis, opens up new possibilities to fine-tune pre-trained AI models and apply them to new tasks, a process known as inference. Massive compute power demands massive storage, and the data hall provides plenty of it. All modules are linked by a high-speed network, capable of transferring 3 times more data per second than the entire global internet. Another important factor is energy efficiency. Here too, Jupiter is setting new standards. Its first module calculates more efficiently than any other supercomputer in history. The secret lies in the combination of state-of-the-art processor hardware and a sophisticated water cooling system from Eviden. The heat is dissipated through the rooftop directly into the ambient air. And that's not all. In the future, the waste heat will be reused to heat nearby buildings. Another step towards sustainability. With Jupiter, a new era of computing has begun in Europe. A supercomputer with a modular architecture that's ready to integrate the technologies of tomorrow. With quantum computing and neuromorphic systems on the horizon, we're moving closer to solving challenges that are still considered unsolvable today. Together with Jupiter, we are shaping the future of computing in Europe.
Yeah, this as a small overview. We deep dive a little bit into it. So what is Jupiter? I think you have heard most of the important aspects in the video. It is basically an exaflop system, which means one exaflop in double precision. We measure this with so-called FPL, FP64. So the system is able to do this with less than 20 megawatts power consumption. For doing that, it has about 24,000 NVIDIA Grace Hopper 200 superchips. This means like one superchip is basically one ARM-based CPU from NVIDIA that is called Grace, and one Hopper GPU also from NVIDIA. Those two are connected via NVLink C2C connections, so they are very quickly connected. We already have very nice use cases. We just published a paper yesterday where we used this to simulate the biggest quantum simulator ever, because this allows to have like very fast data connectivity. We have a so-called Dragonfly Plus topology. This looks very small here on this slide, but this is very important feature of this machine. So in fact, the network is bit what makes it possible, or what's enabled it to use all of these 24,000 GPUs for single applications. So whenever we talk about supercomputers in general, then probably the devil is in the details. So there are very large supercomputers also in US and at other places that are basically loosely connected islands of GPUs that can be very nicely used for GPU for model training and others, but for example cannot run very large hybrid simulation AI workloads. Jupiter was designed in a way that you can really efficiently use all of these 24,000 GPUs in simulations, but also for training of large networks and AI networks. And this is basically enabled by this largest NVIDIA Mellanox InfiniBand-driven network in the world. We have more than 1 exabyte of total storage in a hierarchical system. So we have basically, to put it simple, we have exaflash, where it is a very fast NVMe-based storage. We have exastor spinning disk, so a little bit slower, but also much faster than the storage that we have had before. And then we have exatape, basically tape storage for long time archiving things. I think overall this is larger than, for example, CERN has available. And then we already heard it in the video. We have this modular data center approach, which basically meant that we put like containers on the floor without building a building around it. And I think, well, this has some advantages if you think about this, especially for something like an AI factory. So in AI, the timescales that you have to bring systems into operation to make impact is significantly smaller than what you had before for HPC. So it's very important that you are able to bring systems into operation as quickly as possible. With this new approach, the modular data center approach that we successfully employed in Jülich, we were able to do this in a significantly smaller amount of time. So we got the first containers at the beginning of the year. Now it's not even Christmas. So this is much faster than than ever before, and might be also a good way of successfully doing it in the future. What is the status of Jupyter? So first of all, thanks to Benedict, who managed most of this and accomplished most of these things. We are very happy that our systems are very, people like our systems, so to say. So whenever we people can apply for compute time, they are heavily overbooked. This is not normal for all systems. So this shows that the people who run the systems on our side do something correctly. We had, especially for the inauguration, we had a huge amount of media interest on site. You see this here. People were really excited about what we are doing in Jülich. They went into the containers, wanted to have a deep look, and it was very nice. The video said it. A smaller subset of our system was measured as the most energy efficient supercomputer in the world. So on the so-called Green 500, it is now the number. It was the number one. Then it is by far the fastest supercomputer in Europe. Here, that are the measurements from about half a year ago, where we did not have the full system available yet. So this is why you don't see an exaflop there, but I shouldn't say just, but now from the new perspective, it's just about 800 petaflops. Now it's an exaflop probably. For first in long time, we have a finalist in the ACM Gordon Bell competition run on a German system. So this also shows we are closing the gap to the American systems and are also very successful from a scientific point of view. And even though the system is not yet in production, we already have like groundbreaking new science enabled on the system because, well, with JAIF we do a lot of AI on the system, but we also built a system for really helping humankind and advancing science and knowledge. And so we are very proud that with the strong team we were already able to fulfill some of those goals. Yeah, and then last but not least, we were able to get the Jupyter AI Factory with Jupyter at its center and now can extend what we are doing. So this was the brief overview over Jupyter. So now let's look at the other things from Jupyter AI Factory, namely the AI Factory. So what is actually an AI Factory? So if we keep it short, I would say an AI Factory is, first of all, providing a lot of compute power. So it's a huge program all over Europe to bring in, huge systems into production, systems powered by GPUs that are nicely enabled for GPU training. It is about bringing data or enabling data in a way that you can use it together with the compute to train models. And it's about AI development services. So bridging the gap of having these systems and also using those systems. And this might not be so exciting for the scientists here, but I think for the overall ecosystem, this last sentence, that this is now also possible for companies for the first time, is a big deal. Is a big change for the AI ecosystem, because as we know, the AI ecosystem is especially driven by startups, by companies. So this enables a lot of AI research in the future. Jupyter is one of 19 AI factories, but as we have already heard from Holger in the beginning, we do have 19 AI factories in Europe, but they really differ in size. So we have large AI factories and we have small AI factories. And JAIF, Jupyter AI Factory, is the only AI factory, that's what we can say, that can offer exascale supercomputing for AI training, and this is kind of making us unique. The whole system of AI factories, if you want to use it, I think it's helpful to understand a little bit how the whole AI ecosystem kind of looks in Europe, because AI factories are super cool tools, but there is so much more. And honestly, even though we are here for an AI factory meeting, depending on the status of what you plan, there might be actually even better things in the European ecosystem that you first want to employ before you move to an AI factory. So in Europe, we kind of differ between basis AI and advanced AI. So basically, let's say starting with AI and pushing it to the limits, what is possible from a research side. And we also kind of have here a hierarchical system. So basically, we have these locally enabling what they call European Digital Innovation Hubs. We have about 17 of them in Europe. We have more than 100 in Europe. And those are really for companies, for startups, for SMEs, to help them with the first steps. And I think this is very important to understand. So depending on what you want to achieve with AI, those might be very good places to be, might be even better points to go than in a factory, because, and this is, I think, the nice thing about our ecosystem, it is coupled. So in a sense, if you start within the European Digital Innovation Hubs, you do the first steps, and then you discover, well, now we need more compute. We want to grow. We want to go larger. Then they can help you to also transfer to the AI factories, where we have 19 all over Europe. And the same, and I think this is what I want to say also to JAIF, to the JAIF Consortium. I think it's also our responsibility that we bring back information in this hierarchical ecosystem, that we also understand that it is part of our job to help the European Digital Innovation Hubs with solutions, with services that they can really enable startups and SMEs with what they want to do. So in that sense, we always like to say that the AI factories are one-stop shops, and I think this is totally true. So JAIF offers basically all solutions, all services around AI. But, and I think this is very important, it is not a standalone. We are still integrated in this broader AI ecosystem, and it's not our goal to do what others also already do in a good way, but our goal is to make them better and to benefit from what they are doing. And as Thomas already said in the beginning, this is exactly the reason why we also have like strong associate partners like the Lamar Institute, West AI, Heschen AI Service Center, and the KI Bundesverband to benefit from these already existing very productive structures. We have heard this also in the beginning. We have Jupyter, which is a huge training system. We heard this in the movie that it's 40 exaflop for large-scale training for AI. But within JAIF, Benedict will extend Jupyter also with Jarvis, with our inference platform. So closely enabling also coupled workflows in a scalable and sovereign way. We have to see details, also governing details a little bit depends at the moment. But I think this is a huge change that we, for the first time, can not just train models, but we can also at the end do inference with the models, and we can also help startups and SMEs to really make money with the models, because this is what people want to do at the end. They want to train models, and then they want to do something with this. The software stack will roughly look a little bit like this. So based on our hardware layers and storage layers, we have on the training system, we will still go with the batch system as we operate all of our system, but the Jarvis Inference Cloud will be a cloud like an OpenStack and a Kubernetes, and then on top of that, we have like a lot of different opportunities to access basically these kind of systems. So I just want to highlight, for example, BlaBlaDor. So Alex Strube developed already very successfully an inference platform that is widely used already on our existing JSC cloud. So this will really help us to also have a kickstart for Jarvis for the inference cloud, because we already know how to do this, and we do not have to start from zero. Let's talk about data just very briefly, because compute, well, I think there is no doubt with Jupyter we're in a very good position with on the compute side. But data spaces are also very important. So I brought two examples here on the right from data that we already use at Jülich, that are scientific data, for example, weather data and brain data from the Human Brain Project. And those data are probably the best of its kind in their fields. And this will help us to also make very, very good models with these data and being very competitive there. Obviously, and I think this is a problem in Europe. We also do have a lot of very good other data, but often they are not very accessible. So one thing, I was very happy when I read that here people from RWTH together with big manufacturing companies also went into a data initiative, because this is something which is very crucial for the German economy, but also for the European economy, that we are able to get more out of our data. Basically, a lot of the US industries get a lot of value out of the data that they have, and in Germany and in Europe we are lacking a little bit behind. So this data spaces, or how Europe often calls this data labs, we try to also bridge this gap and get better there. One final point, we already heard from Holger and from Thomas, we are not alone in Europe. I mean, there are 19 AI factories. At the moment, we are the only exascale supercomputer, but there will be another exascale computer brought into production in France, Alice Recoq, probably at the end of next year or early 2027. So we also have a strategic partnership with the AI factory fans, because we are already aware that, well, even an exascale system will probably be too small to for systems that we want to train in the future. So we need to team up with the other big computers, systems and ecosystems, to being more competitive here. We are building up on already established collaborations and success stories here, and we are really with the German-French connection to drive this whole development forward. I hope that I already explained in a kind of understandable way what Jupyter is and what AI factories are. So now let's break it a little bit down to opportunities, because at the end of the day, often the question is, well, how can I now use this and what are the offers? So just in a nutshell, so Jupyter AI Factory is basically built around this Jupyter supercomputer. So this is our official European supercomputer that we use. We also do have other smaller systems like EuroHPC, Joules, 43, 42, and from Hessian AI that in one way or the other might be also accessible for work that we plan within the AI Factory. JAIF is basically providing systematic and structural services for the whole AI product cycle. So from, well, I don't know how to get compute, can you help me with this, to, well, what could be a model, how can I train a model, how can I do upscaling, how can I do inference. Basically, over the time, we probably have, or we try to have services for the whole AI product cycle to support support projects. To be even more precise, when we talk about, well, how can I now benefit from compute and services of the AI factories, but especially from JAIF? Well, okay, the services, there is a there's a EuroHPC website that is always a good starting point if you want to get information. It is listed here, or you can also contact the AI factory directly if you need a service. For example, this brings me then to my next point for compute. JAIF also offers a service around how to get compute, so this could be also a good starting point for compute. For compute, this is shown here. So for all European computers, there are always a national access track and a European access track. However, we focus here on the European access track for the moment, because the national access track is a little bit special, so to say. So the European access track, and I think this is something that we really have to acknowledge, they really try to make it simpler and quicker. So before the AI factories, it often took like 3 to 6 months until people got access to supercomputers, and now with the new AI factory calls, or also called industry innovation calls, this can be as quick as within 2 working days for small budgets. So this is really a game changer to motivate startups and SMEs to use those computers. You see here on the right, at the moment, for example, there are 4 calls open where people could apply for time on the AI factory supercomputers. There is now a but, because, well, as we already have heard, a lot of AI factories are, so to say, under construction at the moment. This does not only include the services, but also the systems. So the number of services, but also the number of computer systems that are actually available will increase over time. I think it's not fair at the moment to already expect that everything that was launched in the last months is already in full production. So we also ask customers and clients to be a little bit patient and also check from time to time, because this is the honest state. There are many things already working, but not everything is working. A lot will start working next year. So we are in a transition phase, so to say. If we look on the JAIF key sectors, then so this is very important for Europe to also differ a little bit between the AI factories. Then we basically have 7 domains in JAIF. We have healthcare, energy, climate change and environment, education, culture, media, public sector, finance, insurance, manufacturing. Manufacturing, for example, very strong here in Aachen. So these are the sectors that we mainly focus on. However, at the end, it is client driven. So if there is someone from another sector wants to use JAIF, this is also fine with us. Everyone is basically welcome. So this is just, we do have these key sectors, but if you want to do something else and you need an exascale computer for this, you're also welcome. Some ideas, what we have in mind. Let's see whether we can do this. So JAIF will now allow to train large-scale models. So for example, I think for the first time in long, we are able with scientific supercomputers to actually train competitive European AI frontier models. And that could then be a huge push for the whole AI, European AI ecosystem. Multimodal AI models might be possible, foundational models. Based on these models, we will be able to also have more specialized agents and special models. For example, based on the brain data that I just showed you for medical diseases prevention, weather AI, robotics, autonomous driving. We have Hungary in the as antenna that have even a very nice test rig for automotive cars. So I think a lot of opportunities. We try to explain that with the inference platform Jarvis, we are now also able to not just do this, develop agents, train models, but also bring them into application, into inference, and use them. And again, well, probably we will do our own things in JAIF, but the main idea is that we do this always together with you, with SMEs, with startups, or for example also with hospitals, university hospitals. So what is the status of JAIF? So I guess it's fair to say that JAIF has kind of officially started in Q4 2025. Jupiter, I mean, we have seen a lot of it, but it's not in production, so we do not want to set wrong expectations here. Jupiter is already, you can use it, but it's not officially in production yet. There's a lot of interest from smaller companies, from startups, but also from larger companies. We had this big inauguration for Jupiter where JAIF also played a crucial role, was mentioned several times by multiple politicians. AI was the big topic besides the climate research that we presented in the scientific panels on Jupiter. So this also underlines the meaning of JAIF for Jupiter and for the whole Forschungszentrum. If we look, this is now a little bit a German perspective. Top 500 list, and we just look at the first 100 system and then just at the German systems, then you see that the Jülich systems, which are at the moment that are listed, are Jupiter Booster and Jules Booster. Jupiter still with old numbers, but even with that, basically the share of the Jülich systems is about roughly 85% double precision HPL of all of the German systems. And for AI, it's even better because the NVIDIA GPUs are just advantaged there. So I think not just for Europe, but also for Germany, JAIF is really in a leadership position. We have a very strong collaboration with NVIDIA, with CUDA, which helps in many AI development processes. And also here, to mention BlaBlaDor again, I mentioned it before. We will extend it, will help us. And also here, the politicians are very excited about this. This is Ms. Virkkunen, who also visited us at Jülich. With this, I'm at the end of my small presentation. So Jupyter is the beginning of the exascale area for computing in Europe. JAIF will develop Jupyter into this advanced AI platform that we try to explain for the last 20 minutes. And we are really convinced that the combination of excellence in HPC and AI that we have in Jülich, the exascale computing capabilities, the expertise in AI and model training of our partners, and the already shown services around AI makes JAIF really unique in the whole European AI ecosystem and really one of the driver of the European AI continent. And with this, I thank you for your attention, and we can discuss it questions later during the panel. And talking about the driver of AI in Europe, we are very happy that Stefan Mesken from DeepL is here, who will give a small input from a startup SME, define yourself, perspective on AI and AI factories. Stefan, please come to the floor.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. I know many of you in this room have met me before. For everyone who hasn't, I'm Stefan, as Marcus has just said. My background is in mathematics. 2018 I decided to change course, go deep into AI. I'm now chief scientist at DeepL, and I've made it my mission to think beyond like what DeepL can do, beyond what certainly North Rhine-Westphalia can do, what Germany can do, to help in any way I can to enable our AI ecosystem within Europe. And that kind of brings me here. So let me figure out slides. All right. So who's DeepL? DeepL is currently Europe's only vertically integrated AI company, which means we own the entire stack, like from data to all the IP, including our compute and of course the AI applications on top of that. We were founded 2017 in Cologne, Germany, here in North Rhine-Westphalia. Since then, a lot has changed, a lot of growth. We are now standing at like over 1,000 employees. We serve businesses around the entire world in 228 markets, which means essentially everyone. And have built a long series of AI products in an effort to help humans be more productive and more enabled to leverage their unique insights and abilities in business and beyond. And this is like a very short overview of what we have done before, right? Like there are many more details, but essentially 2017 we brought DeepL Translator online, rivaled and continue to this day rival our big AI contenders from the US particularly. So Google Translate was certainly our most fierce competitor for a long time. Now, like companies like OpenAI and Anthropic and so on have joined the race. To this day, we hold our advantage high and keep pushing the boundaries of what is possible in AI to make sure that we don't just provide like the best German solution out there, not just the best European solution, but internationally best-in-class AI technology, because we are deeply convinced that in order to succeed at any length of time, that is the only measure that makes sense. You have to compete at the global stage, otherwise, why are you even in this race to begin with? Over time, we have extended our functionality like in vast areas, right? Of course, we have extended Translator itself, made it more capable, more smarter, and only 2 days ago announced that it now supports over 100 languages, including all official European languages. We have created writing systems, are currently pushing hard on real-time speech-to-speech communication across language barriers, and also just 2 days ago launched Deeper Agent, which is intended to be your AI co-worker, again, in businesses, public sectors, beyond, essentially granting everyone access to best-in-class AI technology in yet another field. Today, I was just asked to share my perspective on what I think is necessary for all of this to happen. And you will recognize a lot of common themes beyond what Holger has said and what Martis has said, and I promise there was no back-channel communication in advance. It just turns out that we all agree on what the building blocks are that we need to get right in order to continue being competitive, but also strengthening the entire ecosystem in this era. At a high level, it's very simple. 3 ingredients only. It's data, talent, and compute. So data, this doesn't apply to DeepL very much, I'd argue, at all, because we have been incredibly fortunate. We just so happened to have the data available in order to do AI training when we first founded the company. This is a luxury basically no one has, and I think as Europeans specifically, we have to invest a lot more effort and stretch ourselves to lower the barrier of entry for new ideas to come to light. Imagine you are a smart student, right, and you want to build the next big AI company. The very first question you have to address is, where does the data come from? Our strengths and our focus on secure data access and compliance is applaudable, and we should continue to hold on to that. But we also have to build the muscle of convenient and easy data access, especially in early parts of these AI developments. There's nothing easier to do to kill a new promising AI idea than to build a too high barrier in front of data, because you won't even be able to prove that in principle this idea can work. You will not get any investment, you will certainly not find any talent to join forces with you if you can't get at least across that barrier. For this reason, this is incredibly important. We can't just rely on companies being lucky like we happen to be in order to get over the initial hump. Second of all, talent. Good news and bad news. Good news is there is plenty of capable talent available in Europe to do AI development, not just like at an entry level, but at the very front of what is possible to do in AI research at all. We have proved this for almost a decade now. It's not just us, there are more of us around here. There is no... we find all the talent we need in order to do this within Europe. It's plenty available, but there are 2 problems. First of all, especially the US puts a lot of effort to entice European talent to switch over, and we need to become better at providing not only good opportunities for people, but credible stories for people to buy into. At the end of the day, you are asking someone fresh out of university, in the prime of their life, to dedicate the next 5, 10, 20 plus years to commit to an idea. There has to be a sensible and believable story behind that to happen. Otherwise, doesn't matter how smart or capable or driven you are, you will find these opportunities elsewhere. So let's all think about ways we can surface these opportunities for a lot more people. Again, it can't just be DeepL, it also can't just be Black Forest Labs. We need hundreds of these opportunities coming up, making sure that everyone benefits in this race. Similarly, once we have enabled people to actually start their ideas here, right? Start a business and go in this journey, we have to pay very close attention to making sure that incentives are aligned. This means that we don't only have to think about startup investments, we certainly have to support our companies as they grow and exceed what is usually available in funding in Europe. We have to allow for failure, so people who go on a bold mission and turn out to not succeed should be applauded, not reprimanded. This is a very difficult thing to do, and we have to bring in sufficient boldness, which we certainly lack in Europe, but also willingness to be wrong every now and then. of course, like all of us are self-interested and like mutually incentivized to turn out to be wrong as few times as possible, but it happens, and that needs to become of our culture. Finally, in order to get access to talent, beyond like providing credible stories for people to buy into, beyond making sure that the best talent we have in Europe not only like lands in Europe and stays here, but also builds big initiatives on what we are doing, we have to figure out how to address this huge gap we have right now in Europe in terms of building big companies. AI, more than any other technology we've seen before, truly only works at scale, which means we have to figure out distribution. The AI companies we have, let's embrace them and let's make this a priority for all of us to not only surface the technology that we make available here, but also use it. And we have to figure out how to place significantly larger bets on the ideas that are working. So startup funding, I think we are in a pretty good place in Europe. Beyond that, there is an enormous pressure to either look into the Middle East or to the US, because there are preciously few places to land once an idea actually takes off in Europe. Finally, the part that all of us here came to discuss, compute, right? Huge congratulations to JSC and to JAIF specifically to now, for the first time, have provided the necessary infrastructure for us to catch up in the AI race we see happening around the globe today. This is a unique moment in time in which that clearly separates the before and after, right? Before Jupyter, there simply was no way to train competitive AI models within the continent. Simply outright impossible. Now it is possible, and we have to make sure that this actually is an opportunity we leverage. There is no substitute for huge compute facilities to do AI training. Doesn't matter how smart you are, doesn't matter what data you have. If you don't have enough compute, you will just not make it work. Now compute is available. Let's be very careful about not only like resting on our laurels, right? Like embrace JAIF and drive it to its maximum extent. We also have to think way beyond JAIF. Like we need certainly like a 2 exaflop, a 10 exaflop, and a 100 exaflop supercomputer at some point in time. During that process, we not only have to figure out the design and operation of this cluster, we certainly want to find like sustainable ways to drive them. We also need to build the community around them to actually harness them and make sure that we create room for bolder bets than we have ever dared to venture on before. At the end of the day, what we have to figure out is, with all the ingredients in place, the data, the talent, the compute, how do we now bring this together? Not only for like a one-punch event where we say, okay, like we can actually do this and then disassemble the team again, forgetting like losing all the the tribal knowledge we've built along the way, but how can we make this sustainable and enduring effort to, first of all, catch up to the technology that our colleagues not in Europe have developed already, but also create our own path to keep venturing on and providing unique insights to this entire story. At the end of the day, all of us will be judged not on a German level, not on a European level, but at a global scale. In order to not only satisfy the ambitions that we should have ourselves, but also get the buy-in of industry sectors in Europe, we have to provide technology that warrants this kind of investment, which means that our target can't just be to be like close followers or like in order of magnitude smaller in ambition compared to what's out there. We have to make a big leap, getting us a lot closer to where we are right now, but then immediately follow up, take this victory and create some momentum behind this motion that lasts for many, many decades. This is the core technology of our generation. Right now, for a very brief moment in time, we have all the puzzle pieces available to utilize this opportunity. If we don't, there's no coming back. talent will not only leave, but also will fail to learn the lessons necessary in order to keep up with that competition. From a standstill, you will never be able to follow up. Right now, we have little sparks of momentum that we can capitalize on, but it's a very dangerous situation to now risk losing the little bit of momentum that we have. Once companies like Black Forest Labs, Mistral, and DeepL have gone elsewhere, we will never be able to recover not only this industry, but this entire technological stack. That's where I would like to leave it.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for coming and for joining the panel. Thomas, I start with you. I mean, you have started in the beginning. So I think it's fair to say that you spent the last 15, 20 years to bring exascale to Europe. Do you think that the AI factories is now a natural, good step forward in this? Or do you think we need something else? What is your perspective?
That's actually true. I started quite early with exascale course. I think it was in 2007 when all this started. And of course, the idea of exascale computing has transformed in this time a lot. As its purpose, what do you want to do? I remember, well, we started out very much with particle physics applications, and then came, for instance, simulation of brains, of materials, etc. And in around 2020, the AI training came on top. And we had started quite early with this in 2012. We had first experts at Jülich Computing Center. At this time, people always told us, oh, AI is something on laptops. We don't need supercomputers for AI. This was continued very long time. I remember many times that, for instance, the Helmholtz Association was just advocating for small-scale AI until 2018 or 19. But everything changed, of course, when then the deep neural networks became really visible. This was around 2020. With Jules, we had the first machines of this kind that could really deploy about 4,000 A100 NVIDIA processors for AI training. And I think it's heavily used. So clearly, the machines have become machines that can do both, and they are giving us an additional advantage with that, because we can combine AI and simulation. That's the interesting thing. So if we say machines like Jupyter are AI machines, they are at the same time simulation machines, and they are unique in this respect because what you see in US with machines like the Musk has or the Zuckerberg, these are just agglomerations of small-scale machines that just are as large to train the largest models they have. That's what they do. So concerning Jupyter, it's then even more important that latest expertise in AI comes on top, because these machines offers additional possibilities that nobody else has. So we are a forerunner in using a machine that's coherent, that's one processor. So the whole Jupyter can act, if you see from a programming point of view, finally as one processor to do what it should do. And it can not only do AI, but it can combine simulation and AI. And here I see a huge advantage and also a huge, let's say, very interesting possibility that we can go for the future. So in order to do that, you need experts that can do it. Yeah? And we are extremely thankful to our funders that we have now the AI Factory as this opportunity to realize those new ideas and technologies for the future. That's more or less where I see the starting point now. Machine-wise, I don't see that. Before it was, I don't know exactly, I think it was Mertens was telling about 100 and more exaflops. Of course, we have already the 40, 50 exaflops for AI, but when we talk about exaflops, we just are now renaming our base facility into a ceremonial facility. Why do we do that? Because we need a goal again, and we already have it. We started with thinking of ceremonial several years ago, because if we think 5 years ago of ceremonial, it might be realized in 2035 or even later. Yeah. That's how we should approach it. And all our science has to accompany us, and especially the AI now, which will become the dominating methodology.
Yeah, thank you. Christopher, I go to you next. It's Christopher, nicht Wolfgang Nienes. You're representing Hessian AI. I could imagine that not everyone is really familiar with Hessian AI. So maybe I know you have a very good startup program. You basically bundle all of the Hessian universities with a very strong research program. You have already trained your own models. Can you explain a little bit what Hessian AI is doing research-wise, otherwise, and how you think, or why do you think that this is a very good match with JAIF?
Yeah, great. Thanks. Yeah, I will do that. Welcome, and very happy to be here. Very happy to be part of JAIF. So Hessian AI generally is a collaboration of 13 universities, and to briefly go into the research we do and the applications is very much focused on trustworthy AI and model development in several stages, where we focus on Europe-centric AI since several years. And we also rely on the infrastructure we have. We have built into larger clusters that are, of course, not at all comparable to Jupyter or anything. We have been training models there, and we are also heavily involved in transfer activities. So as you mentioned, the startup ecosystem, we are heavily supporting those, also with the compute resources we can offer, and as thus fostering transfer to the society in general. So we are also looking forward to pushing this to another level, like tooling for startups and tooling for different players in the ecosystem. And within JAIF, we will also focus on the educational and the media aspects, and we'll generally be happy to include our experience in model training and also the startup ecosystem here.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think model training is also a very good word for you, Joachim. So maybe we continue with you and your team together with others. I think JC was also involved, trained the Tolkien models, which was one of the biggest models that have been trained in Germany. What is your perspective? What do you want to do in JAIF with your team? How do you want to continue with the model training?
First, thank you very much to be part of this huge and important initiative. So with the model training, I think this is our main interest to continue this. So to build technical pipelines, especially for data filtering. We are facing now this European AI Act for model providers, so we have to work very careful with the German and with European data sources here. And so this is one topic, and we need, I think, stable conditions to train models. So I mean, we were very successful, so happy with Jules, that we could train together Tolkien OpenGPT with 1 million hours. But this is not sufficient. We need 100 million hours a year to train models which are competitive. And so I would like also to emphasize that this is one expectation, that we have this stable possibility on this wonderful machine now to have structures, long-term structures, sustainable structures to provide models in an open way with partners, as we did in OpenGPT. That is a community of enthusiastic people building European LLMs in a very open way for the industry, for users, for science, so that they're also transferred to applications, what is also in the scope of our project.
Yeah, thank you very much. So Stefan made the point, well, basically compute is very nice, but without data, compute is maybe not enough. So Stefan, you are working on the topic of data security and all of this with your team for many, many years. What is your perspective, and how can we build solutions in JAIF that we finally overcome like this blocking of data that are very relevant to the European ecosystem?
Indeed. And despite what everybody thinks, it's not only about language models. So it's also structured data and data from companies, which needs to be part of AI and AI being trained. One example, I just talked to a colleague here from the energy sector that there's a huge demand in there. But in order to enable trustworthy data exchange, we need trustworthy infrastructure to enable that, because otherwise everybody's just sitting on the data. We see this already with lawsuits happening left, right, and center. And that's, I think, one of the advantages that we have in Europe, that we have a framework in Europe here which enables that. It's not just big corporations grabbing the data that they can, but indeed European values which guide us. And that's where data spaces and data space technology comes in. There's initiatives around the European Common Data Spaces. I'm proud to report that Founder for Fit is co-coordinating the Data Space Support Center in here. And I think this provides a building block for trustworthy and sovereign data exchange, enabling ultimately the training of AI models and really the deployment of AI models. Stefan said data is one of the building blocks, and I think sovereign data exchange is indeed absolutely necessary in Europe to enable that. The other part necessary also is to involve large and medium companies, yeah, through initiatives like Forschungszentrum Jülich or the European digital innovation hubs. I think that's a part that JAIF needs to do and can do, because how good is the AI revolution if the majority of the industry is being left behind? So that's something that I hope JAIF will be able to facilitate through us.
Yeah, thank you. Holger, you opened in the beginning, and I have a final question for you. You're leading the AI Center here at RWTH, but you're not just in the here and now, but you're always also looking forward. So what do you think? How could the AI ecosystem look in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years? And what do we have to do to be successful?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So I'd like to connect to what Thomas said earlier, right? Actually, there were some of us who in 2018 already said we need something like what you build now. The problem was just at that point, the AI people, or at least the AI people that had that vision, weren't talking to people like you yet. And I'm very encouraged by the fact that now we're doing this together, right? Because these two sides of the coin, high performance computing, AI, talent, data, compute, they all need to work together. And I think this is happening now, and that's a great basis for bringing things forward. I'm also going to be very open, and I was delighted, Stefan, to hear you talk about, give us some very honest words about what's really going on. JAIF is not enough. Even the AI factories are not enough. And therefore, it's a very good thing that gigafactories will be coming, because the infrastructure we have here will enable us to do some useful things, but there are many other things that we must do and must do now, as you said correctly, in order to protect or actually restore our global competitiveness. And therefore, I think as soon as possible, we need to make sure that the gigafactories that are being planned get realized in a way that bring us maximum benefit ASAP. And in my mind, there's only one way to achieve this, only one, and that is to build them strongly on what's already there. So I think as a JAIF consortium, we should have the ambition and actually have pursued vigorously the ambition for the last 9 months to convince the powers that be that this is a fantastic foundation on which to build a gigafactory. And I'm very happy to say that our state government, as well as other state governments, for instance, the Hessian one, have been very much supporting us in this argument. And actually, EuroHPC has written it into the guidelines that they have released this summer, that one of the preferred ways of realizing a gigafactory is to build on an existing AI factory. And what better AI factory to build on than the biggest operational AI factory in Europe that actually has the largest machine in Europe? So that is the first thing that really needs to happen. And in order for this to happen, we need to make it attractive for everybody else who's not part of JAIF, right? For our friends in the Benelux countries and other European countries, but also for our friends in other German states, other than just Hessen and North Rhine-Westphalia, right? That is very, very important. And I think here in JAIF, we can, again, be a collegial team that actually connects right now to the talent elsewhere and start telling a bigger story than the great one that we already have. Stefan again said this, right? We need to convince, first of all, the talent that this is worth spending the prime of their life on. And I think with the Jupyter machine, with the JAIF factory, and hopefully with the Gigafactory, we have a great runway to make this thing take flight. But it's not a no-brainer, right? We need to do this. Now, from the Gigafactories, I think the next step is to have good coordination between the 4 or 5 Gigafactories that will exist in Europe. Because if they work sort of each and every one just on their own, that's not going to be sufficient. We need to somehow organize that ecosystem so that everything hangs together and cooperates in a meaningful way. And I think for that to happen in the best possible way, there is one element missing in the ecosystem, and we're lobbying very hard the European Commission and the member states to make that one happen. And that is to create something like a CERN for AI, to really become this global attractor for talent from throughout Europe, but also from the world. The second thing that really needs to happen, and I'm looking at you, Ms. Bayer, right now, because you represent in some sense the state government here, right? I think what we need to see for any of this to happen is a firm commitment by all levels of government to preferentially satisfy their needs for AI technology through the ecosystem that we're building here. The state, the communal level, the federal level in Germany, and the other member states, they need to commit to source the AI services primarily from European organizations. That is the key to technological sovereignty. I hear, and I'm shocked, that in Bavaria a deal was made with Microsoft. I have nothing against Microsoft, to basically go all in on Office 365 and the AI copilots. That is not the path to technological sovereignty. That's the path into dependency, a dependency that we will all very bitterly regret if we go ahead. So this is a decision we need to make in order to energize our AI industry, companies such as DeepL and many others that exist in Europe, to give it their all. They need to know that they're doing it for a purpose, and the purpose must be to provide us in Europe, and it really starts with the things that are paid for with public money, with tax money, with the services we need and we deserve. And that is not the kind of AI that's currently on offer. That is the kind of AI that is safe, dependable, and sustainable. The kind of AI that in JAIF, hopefully we're starting to build. But we need to go much further.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think this was a very strong final statement, and I think this paves the way forward for the next year, for the next 3 years, for the next 5 years. So yeah, let's thank all speakers. Let's also especially thank Julia Mann, who led the organization of this meeting. Thanks everyone who joined online. It was a pleasure. You will hear from us more in the future. Stay tuned. And with this, we say goodbye to the people online and continue with internal discussions here in the room. Thank you very much.